course, that before the cross-country trip that suspect Bryankohberger took with his father from Washington State to their family's home in Pennsylvania, Kohberger was one of 34 students. Technology graduate program. And here's what I found particularly fascinating. Tonight we're learning from the Idaho statesman that in Kohberger's courts and legal process class, they actually discussed this quadruple homicide that had occurred just 10 miles east of the campus. Yes, the suspect was in a criminology class where they talked about his alleged murders. Now, according to one of Kohberger's classmates, the accused killer was, quote, completely silent as the discussion took place, and Bryankohberger's silence actually stood out, according to two fellow grad students who described Kohberger before the November 13th killings, quote, he seemed gregarious and outgoing. That was really the only impression that I got. He was an incredibly strong student and talked during class every time. He sat front and center, was not hiding or tucking back in the back. He was right there in the middle of it. News Nation spoke to Ben Roberts, one of the students, and he described Kohberger's classroom demeanor.
He very much liked it when everybody in the room knew that he knew what was going on, but it wasn't enough that you knew that he knew. He had to make absolutely sure you understood that he was smart, that he had this intellectual capacity.
But apparently he was silent when it came to this case. Now, as Kohberger sits in a Leda County jail, another strange twist, the Idaho Statesman reports that Kohberger's enthusiasm for his concentrated area of study, understanding the criminal mind, was regularly on display. Quote, Bryan only talked about his interest in forensic psychology. Maybe he was spending too much time on the psychology behind it and not enough on the nuts and bolts, considering the amount of evidence that law enforcement says Kohberger left behind, from cell phone records to his car being caught on camera and even DNA left at the scene. Let's bring in News Nation senior national correspondent Brian Entin, who's been all over this. He's on the ground in Moscow, Idaho tonight, outside that house on King Road. Brian, thanks for coming back on the program. Appreciate it. All right, so we're getting a more complete look at what Kohberger may have been like before he was identified as a suspect. I know you have spoken to a number of the folks who studied with him, worked with him. I find this to be fascinating, this possibility that they were actually talking about this case while he was in class.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Dan. At Washington State University, just about 10 minutes from where we are in Moscow, Idaho, in Pullman, Washington, where he was getting his PhD. Apparently, he was very, very talkative in class normally, shared his opinions, liked to participate. But when the discussion came up about the murders that happened in this house behind me, he did not say a word, according to his classmates, which at the time apparently didn't seem that strange. No one thought anything of it. But of course, where we are at now, they're thinking back and remembering that it was certainly very interesting that he didn't want to talk about it.
Tell us about the folks who are claiming.
Can I just tell you, though, how fucked up is that? That you're talking about a murder in a class and the person that committed the murder is sitting next to you? Let that sink in for a minute. For real. That is fucking wild.
Going over all the different angles of video that they can get their hands on, the online sleuths from this vigil. I was at that vigil. It was pretty full, that stadium there. Just looking at the video, I've seen Kohberger in court twice now. I don't think it's him. The walk doesn't look quite the same. Granted, when I've seen him, he's had the shackles on, so he's been shuffling a little bit. I guess it's possible, but when I look at that video, I don't think it's him.
All right, let's talk motive for a moment. Is the speculation, the thinking that this really was a guy who was just trying to commit the sort of ultimate murder, or do we have any sense that he had a particular vendetta against the students here?
We don't know anything about the motive yet, Dan, which is really interesting. There was nothing in the probable cause affidavit. I spoke with the Gonzalez family last night. They still don't have any specifics on what may have connected Kohberger specifically to Kaylee or any of the other roommates in the house. So at this point, based on what we're going on, it seems it may have been somewhat random and that there may have been stalking ahead of time. We know that he was outside the house at least 12 times, according to the cell phone pings, in the weeks leading up to the murders.
You know, I found it to be a little troubling that there are so many people now questioning one of the surviving roommates, right? Because in the probable cause affidavit, it's saying that, oh, you know, she spotted a guy with a mask walking past her. She'd heard some things upstairs. How could she not have called? And I was wondering the same thing. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, well, you know, people come in and out of that house all the time. It's not like she knew there had just been a murder. Right? All she knew is what she said she'd heard a little bit upstairs, and then she sees someone walking past her. 6 people live in the house. People wear masks these days. It just doesn't seem to me so shocking as I really thought it out that she didn't call police immediately.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And also think about how much we didn't know before the probable cause and how the storyline changed when that came out. And that is only a sliver of the information we're told that they have behind the scenes. So maybe there's an explanation that she does fill in the gaps that they just didn't put into the affidavit. That's why we're going to have to wait. Ultimately, she's probably going to testify at the preliminary hearing, if there is one, which I think will explain a lot of it.
Brian Enton, thank you. Appreciate it. That does it for us.
Okay, the fallacy with that theory is all that is good and well, except if it was just somebody walking out the door, she wouldn't have been scared shitless. Somebody walking out the door wouldn't make her frozen. So that whole entire point that he just made is moot. So welcome everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new to my channel, my name is Laura, aka PURPLEXEDQT. I wasn't sure if I was going live tonight. Because, and that, I didn't know what time I was going to go live because I didn't know where Sage was to pick up Phoenix, but Phoenix, she's going to pick up Phoenix, so I don't have to worry about that. So I figured, let me go live before Banfield. There is a ton of stuff to see tonight. One of them being the 48-hour special. I don't know how many people saw that. But I'm going to bring up another point that I have not heard anybody discuss. Fair enough. I really haven't talked to, I don't really watch many people. But Brian claims, now I don't know if the defense is going to use this or if the prosecution's going to use this. But think about this. I was cooking dinner. I don't know why this hit me. Brian is supposed to be this die-hard vegan. Die-hard vegan. Can someone tell me why a die-hard vegan would have a leather sheath? Why would a vegan have a leather sheath? And I looked up different leathers that the Marines use, that the Navy uses for their sheaths. Some use vegetable, but it's a vegetable cowhide or something. I don't know, maybe it's an organic hide, but it's like a vegetable cowhide. So it's leather. So I think it's absolutely hysterical that this die-hard vegan was using leather. Oh, if he's a vegan for health reasons. No, I don't think it's for health reasons. Because he's only a vegan for health reasons? I don't think it's for health reasons. But I don't know. As far as I know, vegan is vegan, period.
Report on the Idaho quadruple murders. It is Monday, and pieces of the puzzle are slowly starting to come together in this mystifying case of a 28-year-old criminology student who has just become the most infamous defendant in the country. As bryankohberger sits in a cell, plotting out what life might be like in a jail cell or living out life on death row. We are learning more about how he was tracked down and put there in the first place. And it was like something out of a blockbuster movie. As aircraft tracked his cross-country movements, ground support logged every bridge, every tunnel, every turn. His easy pass left a silent breadcrumb trail all the way to Pennsylvania. And we're learning a lot more about his early life in that state and what made him the person he eventually became in Idaho. From shedding 100 pounds after being bullied in high school to confiding that one day he was hoping to become an Army Ranger. And boy, did he put in the hours for that, logging hour upon hour as a high school security guard before eventually moving on from that life to something completely different out west. And apart from the obvious irony of a criminology student charged with multiple murders, there is the added complication of whether or not he kept a god-awful secret from the other criminology grad students he was spending time with in the classroom day after day. If Bryankohberger is the killer that he is alleged to be, how did he do it? How did he keep his secret, that is, from those fellow students and professors who we now know did raise the Moscow murders in class discussions? Tonight, we have brand new reporting. A fellow criminology student at Washington State University, a man named Ben Roberts, saying that at the beginning of the semester, Kohberger was gregarious and outgoing. Those are his words, gregarious and outgoing. He says Kohberger sat, quote, front and center. And then there was another classmate, one who asked not to be identified, told the Idaho Statesman newspaper that Kohberger, quote, talked during class every time, end quote, with one notable exception. During a lengthy discussion about the murders on King Road, the other classmate says Kohberger suddenly stood out because he, quote, went completely silent. We've also learned today that it was Kohberger's attorney, his public defender, Ann Taylor. That was the person who made the request and got the request granted, that put a gag order in place to, in her words, quote, protect the integrity of the case to be presented at trial. Now, you probably know this. Gag order is exactly what it sounds like. It's an order that bars all attorneys and investigators from giving any more information to the public. Nada, nothing, silence. But it doesn't mean that other people aren't talking.
All right, I got a question, though. If he was so quiet during class, why would he be so active on social media? Like, what would be the difference? Why wouldn't he be active in class speaking the same way he did online?
About the victims and about the alleged killer and how they may have intersected. News Nation senior national correspondent Brian Enton is in Moscow tonight with the very latest. And Brian, Kaylee's family said from the moment they heard the name Bryankohberger, which they had never heard before, that they were going to comb through her social media and see if they couldn't find some nexus, some reason that would bring these parties together, something that would make sense of this complete stranger. Have they found anything in the week and a half that they've had to comb through that phone?
It's my understanding, Ashley, that they have not found anything to specifically link Kaylee or any of the other victims to Kohberger that we know of. That is the latest that I have heard from the family. Obviously, we've all gone through that affidavit. It says nothing about motive. There are no connections that we know of, except, of course, just geography, the fact that he was just about 10 minutes from here going to Washington State University. But no specific connections at this time. There were a couple of Instagram accounts that people were zeroing in on initially, but we've come to find out most of those accounts were created after his name came out. Basically, people online just messing around, creating those accounts under his name and then liking some of the victims' photos.
Well, we know that happens, and they are the parts of this story that are unpleasant, but then there are parts that, you know, shockingly become pleasant. I'm looking behind you, Brian, and it's there's a memorial there I haven't seen before. Can you maybe give me a tour, tell me what's happened, who brought it, and when that happened?
Yeah, it's been so snowy, Ashley, that, you know, we haven't really been able to see it in the past because it would snow every day and cover it up. But now it's warmed up. It's been rainy. A lot of the snow is melted. And you can see there's just candles out here. There's a sign up on the rock that says, "Rise up, rebuild, fight back, and then it's got the initials MKXE. So really heartfelt. There's been people coming out, leaving flowers. Obviously, school's going to be starting up again this week, so there's this sense of relief here. But you've also got people who knew the victims who continue to come by the house and leave items here.
Yeah, I remember, gosh, like maybe 4 weeks ago, somebody brought a poinsettia, but to the farther end, away from you, behind you. But, you know, here we are 8 weeks later, and people are still coming by with mementos and flowers and signs. I mean, that's nice to know that, right? It's nice to know there's still so many people who care. I want to talk a little bit about what we're learning about Bryankohberger's behavior in the classroom, because it's not just what we laid out, that he, you know, was very gregarious and then silently all of a sudden couldn't talk about the murders when that came up in the criminology classes. But he reportedly had an aggressive tendency towards the women in the class. What have you learned?
Yeah, according to the reports, he had a very strange attitude towards women and also gay people. Apparently said something about being for traditional marriage. There are reports that he was uncomfortable about a pride flag being displayed on a door on campus. And many of these reports, the students are nervous to come forward and give their names, but we're sort of hearing this whispers of this on campus. They're also back on campus at Washington State University, where he was. And a lot of these stories are now starting to emerge with students coming back after winter break.
All right, so Thursday is another big day. Some people think it's just sort of a status hearing, a preliminary hearing, but I have seen preliminary hearings that have been jaw-dropping. Witnesses will show up. Huge amounts of information will all of a sudden get dumped because it's more than a probable cause now, right? It's not just how much do we have on you to arrest you. This is how much do we have on you to try you.
Yeah, so this is going to be a status hearing on Thursday, but you make a good point, Ashley. You know, from covering courts for a long time, you never really know what's going to happen in court. I mean, you can think it's just going to be, you know, a very routine status hearing, and then something sort of jaw-dropping can happen. So, of course, we'll be there. But the main purpose of the hearing is they're going to discuss when and if they're going to have the preliminary hearing. Both sides will talk about picking a date. Of course, the defense could waive the preliminary hearing, but the preliminary hearing, I'm really, really interested in, because that's when we're told new information will come out. That is when they could actually call witnesses. They could call the surviving roommate to the stand. They could call the police to the stand. And you mentioned the gag order at the top of your show. I mean, we're not getting a lot of information from anyone at this point because of that gag order, but the cameras are allowed in court, and that's when we're going to be able to find out some of these new tidbits.
And it's pretty darn rare that a gag order applies to, you know, transcript and open court. I have seen it happen. Trust me, I have seen a whole case under a gag order before. That was in Canada, but not in the United States. If there's information on Thursday, we're going to know it. And there will be something. There will be something. I mean, we may even see him waive this preliminary hearing because maybe there's a plea talk. Who knows? This is fascinating. Okay, so Brian, I know there's a lot more. You've got some incredible exclusive interviews that we want to play this hour. So I'm going to jump out for a minute and then come back to you. So warm up, if you will. And Brian, I'm going to come back to you in a moment because I have this other piece of business that I want to get to. Little over 400 miles away from Moscow, Idaho, the case of another deadly stabbing during another overnight home invasion. That case has gone cold because it's 15 months now. It happened 15 months since, like before the Moscow murders. It happened in Salem, Oregon. That's Travis Jutin on the left and his wife Jamie Lynn on the right. They were attacked by a knife-wielding intruder in the middle of the night while they slept. Travis died at the scene. Jamie Lynn was gravely wounded, but miraculously she survived the attack. Early in the investigation in the Moscow students case, the cyber sleuths began to notice there were a whole lot of similarities with the Salem case. For instance, both of them happened in the middle of the night. Both of them happened on the 13th of the month. Both attackers used a knife. In both cases, there were survivors left unharmed in the home. And eerily, a pet dog was spared in both Idaho and in Oregon. The survivor who was left behind in the Jutins attack was a friend who was staying over to pet sit because Travis and Jamie Lynn were just about to head out on vacation the next day to Hawaii. And before the arrest of Bryankohberger in the Idaho killings, the authorities had said They were ruling out a connection with the Oregon case. But since Kohberger's arrest and his alleged match with crime scene DNA, it's not entirely clear whether police have revisited any other unsolved cases in Salem or anywhere else for that matter. I'm joined now by Myra Jutin. She is Travis Jutin's mom. And Myra, may I just say I'm so sorry for your loss, and that we're speaking, you know, under these circumstances, especially since it's been well over a year and they haven't found your son's killer. When you heard about what happened,
And I was thinking the exact same thing. He wasn't anywhere near Oregon in 2021. Like, this is reaching. Good night, Red.
happened in Idaho, did you instinctively think there might be a connection? Do you now think there might be a connection still?
Well, there's a lot of similarities. I have no proof there's a connection, but I'm hopeful that hopefully that this will reinvigorate this case and bring attention to my son's murder. And hopefully we will get some answers soon. It will be 1 year and 6 months this coming Friday on the 13th.
So 18 months, that is, you know, no parent should have to go through any of what you've gone through. And certainly this wait has been excruciating, I can only imagine. When you heard after 7 weeks that they were able to find a suspect in Idaho, did that at least reinvigorate your hope that you still could find your son's killer?
Yes, it did. I was very happy for, and, you know, very relieved for those parents that law enforcement was put all their emphasis on trying to find that killer. And I'm hopeful that that same emphasis can be put on my son's killer, because as you said, it's going to be, a year and a half this Friday. And I'm hoping that we can find his killer as well.
I'm assuming that you have fairly regular contact with the detectives on the case just to get an update. And I wonder if once bryankohberger's name became public, and it's only been a week and a half, did they revisit this with you to say that they want to maybe get access to the DNA and see if there might be a possibility that these are connected?
No, I have not heard from them. My attorney is in contact with them, but I have not heard from the detectives in this case.
So you put out a $50,000 reward. How did that juice the tips that came in? Because as we know, tips can be everything, right? It can be, and I'm putting the information up on the screen for anybody who's watching right now. Because tips are so important, the detective who's working on this case has an email and a phone number for anybody who's watching and wants to send tips in on this case. But how did the tips come in after the reward, and how have the tips been since the reward expired?
So all the tips go to Marion County. They go into the tip line or to the detective. And we have had no update from Marion County what kind of tips have come in.
And, there was another case as well within the last few years of a bizarre overnight stabbing. A woman named Sandra Ladd also stabbed in her home in the middle of the night. They haven't found that killer either. Do you think that this case might reinvigorate both of your cases, that there might be some thought that there's a serial killer?
Well, what I hope it does is that I hope it reinvigorates both cases, because no parent, no family should go what my family has gone through for the last, year and a half with no answers. And I'm hoping that, my son will get that same kind of attention that the Idaho murders have gotten, and help to kind of solve this case. And the same thing with the other case. I hope that family gets answers as well.
Well, in an effort to help that along, let's also put up the email for the detective in this case. I actually communicated with her today, and she said it would be great to have her email. It's right on the bottom there, jvanhorn@co.marion.or. PurpleXedQT.us for anyone who might have tips in this. You have now, Myra, gone through 2 birthdays of your son, without your son, 2 Christmases without your son. And I'm sure you sought advice from anyone who could give you advice in the unimaginable new reality. But it doesn't get easier.
No, it doesn't get easier. It gets harder. And my son was this amazing young man. And it's very hard not to have any answers. And I just wish somebody could come forward just to give that extra piece to the puzzle that we need. My son was smart, kind, gentle, patient, just an amazing young man. He would have given you the shirt off your back. And I don't understand why someone would have done this to him. And I can't even start grieving until I have an answer. So it's very difficult for my family. We have a lot of family in Oregon. As you probably know, I have 9 brothers and sisters, and Travis has lots of aunts and uncles and cousins in Oregon. And we're all grieving, and we want answers. He was an amazing, amazing young man.
Was the pet sitter in the house who was spared from this horrendous crime able to give any details at all? Because in the Idaho case, the eyewitness actually saw a perpetrator in the house.
I don't know. I mean, that's something that Marion County would have to tell you. I don't have that information. It's, that was something that would have to come from Marion County.
And did Jamie Lynn have any memories of the attack that nearly killed her as well?
You would have to ask Jamie Lynn.
Do you have any advice for the families of the Idaho victims? Because they're starting on a journey that you have now been in for 1.5 years.
Well, it's kind of hard because they at least know who their killer is. And so, they can start now the grieving process. For me and my husband and my other son and the rest of our family, we can't grieve yet because we don't know who the killer is and why they did this to our beautiful young son. We just don't understand that. And so I am super relieved for those families in Idaho. I'm happy that they are getting the answers they need to get, because no family should have to ever bury their son, ever, or daughter.
Myra, is there something you'd like us all to know about Travis? Something special, a great memory about your son?
My son was he was just a great kid. I just can't tell you. I mean, I shouldn't call him a kid because he was a young man, but he was just so sweet and kind, and he would have given you the shirt off his back. And he just, you've seen the pictures. He had this smile in his eyes that just lit up the room. And we all call him our shining light, because there's a star up there for him, and he is shining down from heaven. So he's just a great kid.
You can call him a kid as long as you want, because I have 2 boys and they will never be men to me. They will always be a kid. I'm going to just mention that address again for the detective on this case. It's J. Van Horn. It does not have an E on it. J. Van Horn at co.marion.or.us if anyone's watching and they might have some information about this horrendous crime and maybe can send in a tip. Myra, I'm thinking of you, and I send you as much strength as I possibly can through the airwaves, and I appreciate you talking to me tonight, and the best of luck in getting resolution in your case.
Thank you for keeping my son's name alive.
You bet. He has a beautiful smile. You're right. Myra Jutin joining us, and we're going to continue watching that case as well as we continue to watch the case that now is unfolding in Idaho and still to come. Many have theorized, both on the internet and on this program, that the suspect in the Idaho massacre may have been watching the investigation play out in real time, online, possibly even taking part in discussions. It turns out that the sister of one of the victims thinks the same thing. After the break, Olivia Gonzalez talks to News Nation about these murders.
Okay, that woman was heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. I cannot even imagine. I literally could not imagine her position. And she is the exact kind of person that I was talking about yesterday or the other day when I said, can you imagine being a parent of a child that was murdered and you're not getting the same coverage? She is like the epitome of what I was talking about. It's so sad. And I think the woman was kind of hinting it, you know, that, yeah, it's great that they found their killer, but I'm no different than I was a year and a half ago. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. I used to keep my doors locked. I don't anymore. I don't know why. Hey, Mickey. Reminder for what? But I do. So I still can't get this leather sheath out of my head. People are saying that if it was for reasons that, if it was for health reasons, I don't think it was for health reasons, because his aunt and uncle said that he only got like this trip. He didn't say that he was always like this. Sometimes like this. Like, it was kind of new. Exactly why a ton of true crime channels, no need to stick to same, lots need us to share. Huh? Oh, I don't think Banfield will. I really don't. Buka's a monster. Buka will eat them. Text him within your reach while you sleep. I don't know. It's crazy. Yes. Go ahead, sweet Carolyn. No, I want you to lie. I don't want honest opinions. I want you to lie. So get down if you want to get down. What? No, actually, oven cleaner does the best job. You can like blind someone with oven cleaner. Just because you're vegan, you may... Yeah, but true vegans do not mess with leather. Leather is from a dead animal. A true vegan, I've known some true vegans in my life. Some true vegans will not mess with leather. Sweet Karen, that's a possibility too. Or I'm thinking that if he left the sheath, maybe he's like, well, that couldn't be mine because I would never have an animal. So I'm kind of thinking that too. But I'm kind of thinking that too, that it wasn't planned out so long, but it was planned out recently. I don't think he's vegan either. I think that was all a cover. Once he realized he left the sheath there and thought, how the fuck do I get out of this? Well, if I'm a diehard vegan, they would never think that I'll have a leather sheath, because a vegan wouldn't have leather. So then his next step would be how to explain his fingerprint. But you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I can't get it out of my mind.
The police affidavit spelling out the evidence against Bryankohberger was a revelation, to say the least. But to the families of the victims, those murdered students, it was torment. And yet that was mixed with relief that someone may actually be held to account for the lives that were taken away from them. For Olivia Gonzalez, she's the older sister of Kaylee Gonzalez, the hardest part of everything we learned last week is thinking back to the conversations that she had with Kaylee during the specific times that a phone belonging to Bryankohberger was lurking near that King House Road. It's really hard not to conjure up images of somebody outside in the dark, stalking, staring, and planning. Olivia spoke exclusively to our Brian Enton in her first interview since the suspect was arrested, and Brian is back with me live again now. You know, it's families can go either way when things like this happen. They can really retreat, or they can get very, very active. And it seems like Olivia was the latter, that she worked really hard to help find this suspect. So this, in some way, must feel like some kind of a vindication for her to have this suspect behind bars.
Yeah, there's definitely relief, Ashley, she says. And a lot of people don't realize that throughout the entire thing, she was behind the scenes, working very hard, trying to dig up leads and sending information to police. But you made
Brian Enton has bushy eyebrows, just saying.
an interesting point, something she said in the interview. You know, when we read the affidavit, you see all those timestamps from the cell phone pings when the police say that Kohberger was in the area of the house. And to us, we map it out and we think about the timestamps. But to her, in her mind, she would actually go back to conversations she was having with her sister, looking back through her text messages, thinking to herself, gosh, we talked about this on this day at the very same time that police say Kohberger was in the area, because they were very, very close. They talked on the phone every single day, which is one of the reasons she's been hit so hard by all of this. Since the beginning, you've been digging into this and trying to find leads and sending things to the police. And you told me that, you know, you didn't feel like you would be able to really grieve until there was an arrest made. Do you feel like now you're able to do that?
I think my family, as well as myself, are starting to get there. And it's kind of an odd time to do that, being that we still have such a long road ahead of us. But the relief that we all felt having a suspect in custody was, it was like, I can't even describe it. Like, the weight of the world was lifted from our shoulders.
One thing back to the affidavit that I think a lot of people were surprised by was the fact that one of their roommates was awake when the killer walked by, and that the 911 call wasn't made until hours and hours later. Do you know any more about why that might be?
I don't have any other information for that. I do know Dylan is really young, and she was probably really, really scared. And until we have any more information, I think everyone should stop passing judgments, because you don't know what you would do in that situation.
There's this feeling that many have shared that perhaps Kohberger was watching the interviews, was in the Facebook groups, was on Twitter. Do you get a sense that that might be the case, that he was almost watching all of this as it played out?
I do. A lot of that comes from the fact that he had visited the home so many times before, late at night, early hours. He's presented this pattern of behavior. He went back to the home the morning of, before police had been called, I think to see if his circus, so to say, had started to unfold. And I think that he would not have been able to refrain from engaging with the online communities.
And what was your reaction when you were able to read through? I think I was texting you. I was in line in court trying to read the affidavit on my phone. What was your reaction when you were first able to read through all of it?
Yeah, to be honest, I think that that's been the hardest part of this, is to sit back and look at the totality of it. When my sister was FaceTiming me about a new egg bites recipe, he was planning his next visit to the home. And that's really difficult. It's really difficult not to wish that you had done more.
Let me just tell you, if I was on mic and you guys heard Dayton scream the way he just screamed, you would think he was about to be murdered. I just ran in his room. He made me jump because he screamed right before I ran in his room, before I opened the door. And I was like, what the hell's going on? He's like, I stubbed my toe. Dude, I thought you were being murdered. It was loud.
Or wish that you had known more. The August 21st date, I can go back and remember the conversation that I had with Kaylee that day, and how normal everything was, and the fact that we had no idea, she had no idea, I had no idea that true evil was genuinely watching them.
And I don't think people always realize, Ashley, everything going on behind the scenes with these families. I mean, we know what they're going through because of the murder, but you think about Olivia. I mean, she's got kids. She's pregnant. She's trying to, you know, control all of that and keep her life going steady. Now trying to figure out how she's going to get to Idaho to be at these court hearings. I mean, it's just a very, very overwhelming situation.
I mean, when I learned during your interview that she was pregnant, I thought all of these things, you know, what she's going through, how this baby will never know Aunt Kaylee, just all the things that you think through as you plan your life ahead. And it's just an enormous emotional burden for her. Excellent interview, Brian. And because you're so good at it, you got another one. So if you wouldn't mind staying put for 1 second, I'm going to squeeze in a break. But when I come back, I want to run that other interview that you got, the other exclusive with Xana Kernodle's childhood coach and his daughter as well, who was Xana's best friend. I really can't wait to hear what they have to say about her. I haven't heard enough about Xana. They talk about the person and the athlete that Xana was and how this excruciating loss has turned their world upside down. Brian, and that story, that interview, next.
Okay. Oh my God, now I forgot what I was going to say. Yes, Amanda, that's what I was going to say. They pinpointed it because they pulled the records from his phone. So they know exactly when his phone was in the area from, I believe they said November 10th to the 14th, or maybe the 12th to the 14th. I think it was the 10th. I don't remember exactly the dates, but it was one of them that, yeah, they did pinpoint him directly. His cell phone, they know when it went off on the 13th. It went off at like 3:30 to 5 or something. And then it went back on when he was back home. It was definitely pinpointed. And it was definitely his phone. He made a lot of mistakes. That's why I don't think that other case has anything to do with him. I really believe this was his first kill. But it's not 1970. And like I said earlier, I really believe that he planned this out and he thought that he got the perfect crime. Like he had it all mapped out perfectly. I believe it started in August. And I do think that he was really thinking that he was going to do this, that he was going to get away with this. He had it all planned out. But after the murder, it didn't go according to plan. That's my opinion. Yeah, and that's the interesting thing. He killed them on the 13th. He went there 12 times before and then killed them on the 13th trip, on the 13th day of the month. But there's the 1-3 just adds to all the 1-1 and 2-2 and 1-2. So everyone thought I was crazy when I first started talking about numbers on like November 14th. I said all these numbers mean something. Y'all thought I was crazy. I guess I'm not so crazy anymore. Kelly's father say they found data that on several random accounts. He got so close to the home he was hitting their Wi-Fi. Oh no, I can't say I didn't see it. I saw something like that, but I didn't watch the whole thing. It's the 13th on Friday. Wasn't the 13th, November 13th on a Saturday though? Wasn't it Saturday night? Or am I wrong? Yeah, it was Saturday going into Sunday. It wasn't Friday the 13th. Hey, unsolved cases. Yeah, it was a Sunday. That's what I thought. Yeah, it wasn't Friday the 13th. Tyler, I thought you were crazy about the numbers. Yeah, a lot of people did. And then it started catching on. And then everyone started talking about numbers. Then I heard Tyler was even talking about numbers. Yeah, that's what I thought. It wasn't Friday the 13th. It was Sunday. Oh, she's talking about this Friday? Oh, yeah, that's right. Friday is the 13th. Oh, there definitely is something to the numbers. I want to know why. Why would he do this? Why would you throw away your whole life? But then again, I don't really truly understand people that get mad and stay mad. Like, I'll get over it pretty quick. If I'm mad at you, okay, if you do me wrong, I'll still get over you pretty quick. I don't hold grudges like that. It's not worth it. Unconscious patterns, and these patterns are passed down generation to generation. Numbers are pure and do not lie. I agree with that.
Two of the most important people in the life of Xana Kernodle were her longtime gymnastics coach and the coach's daughter, who just so happened to be Xana's best friend. And they spoke exclusively to our Brian Enton. They knew Xana from a very early age, and they considered her family.
It's my understanding you were Xana's gymnastics coach. I mean, this has got to be just been a terrible time for you.
Yeah, Xana was one of our students for about 6 years, and besides that, she was also one of my daughter's best friends. So she was always at our house. Her dad was single, and so she would come to our house until he'd pick her up after work. So it was almost like losing another daughter. So it's been a really difficult time period for sure. It's just unbelievable. Just can't even wrap your head around it, and being somebody so close, and then same age as my daughter. This could have been her, and yeah, just the difficulty of it is overwhelming at times. I
know that you were close with Xana. Tell me how you're doing. I can't imagine the emotional roller coaster you've been through since this first happened.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a shock. We were really, really close in middle school, not as much recently, I guess, just because I live in Florida, so we were pretty far apart. But I just always knew I could count on her even now. So it's just a lot.
Did you feel any sense of relief, Todd, when an arrest was finally made? I mean, what were you going through in that moment?
I think I'll get there, but no, initially when the arrest was made and his face was being flashed on TV, I just felt like it was all happening all over again, and it really turned me emotionally upside down.
I know, but unsolved cases, what I'm saying is when I first started talking about it, nobody was listening. Everyone thought I was nuts. My own Patreons thought I was crazy because I started talking about it 2 days after the murder. And everyone said I was nuts. And some people were like, we can't listen to this. This is like voodoo. And now everybody's talking about it.
But I think now that we're getting some answers, we'll get to that point of relief and maybe that point of closure.
Let me ask you, Sydney, I know it's been a while, but what was Xana like when you know she was your best friend back in the day? What do you remember most about her?
Honestly, she was one of the funniest people I ever met. She walked into a room and it lit up. I think a lot of people have said that about her. She was a friend to everyone. As soon as you met her, you were her friend, whether you wanted to be or not. She just had that personality where I had no enemies. Everyone was, her best friend, and that's how she treated every single person she met.
Tell me, Todd, what you all are doing. I know you have some plans in action to remember Xana and honor her.
Yeah, we're just going to do some efforts to add to the scholarship endowment, the Xana Kernodle Scholarship Endowment that her family has already set up. So right now, if you go to the ABGA account.
Just remember, the 13th, he killed them on the 13th. He went there 12 times. And I say the same thing, Daniel. He went there on the 13th. He killed them on the 13th. 3 + 1 is 4. And he killed 4 people. Keep that in mind.
Academy.com. There's fundraising stuff that you can find on a page dedicated to Xana. We're going to ask people for our upcoming gymnastics season for our current students to pledge money for every 9.0 or over that they score, because Xana always scored 9.0s or over. She was so talented. There's also a GoFundMe on there. There's zipper poles. We have zipper poles that we've designed because our entire team is going to dedicate their season in her memory. So yeah, if anybody wants to help out, again, it's theabgaacademy.com. There's a bunch of fundraising information they can find on there to help us continue to remember this beautiful young lady.
It really is so nice, Ashley. They're trying to raise money for Xana's scholarship fund here at the University of Idaho. Ethan Chapin, the Sigma Chi fraternity, is raising money for a scholarship for him. And then we heard from Kaylee that her family is setting up a foundation in Maddie and Kaylee's name. So all of these families already trying to figure out ways to turn this tragedy into some kind of good.
Well, also good, Brian, because there are so many people who care so much because they just come to get, they come to know these kids, whether it's through the photos or the...
Edward, as far as we know, no, he didn't enter the house, but we don't know. But all the evidence that we have right now, no, he didn't.
The stories of the Instagram accounts, it's hurting a lot of people who never knew them, in the first place. Great job, Brian. Just excellent job in getting those 2 exclusive interviews. Thank you for that. Still to come, looking at old video with a new set of eyes. And you won't believe what some people say it shows. Is that Bryankohberger in the crowd?
Come on, Banfield. We've already gone through this. It's not him. I can't even believe she's repeating this. There's other content she could find than this. We already know it's not him. Come on. Give me a break. Oh, I picked that up immediately. But I didn't know how to tie it all together. And I kept saying that. If you go back to my earliest lives, I kept saying that. Like, I don't know what all this means. I just know it means something. All these 1s, 2s, and 3s need something. I just couldn't tell you what it meant. And I reached out to a bunch of numerology people and nobody got back to me because I kind of needed someone who understood the case. Because if you just go by single numbers and you just go by like 1 and 2s, well, 2 is a very good number and so is 3. Like, if you look at angel numbers, 2s and 3s are great numbers. They're like beautiful numbers. So that's why I'm like, regular numerology doesn't fit. So guys, don't forget, you could support the channel in multiple ways. You can hit that thumbs up, which is what I need more than anything. You can super chat, which is always appreciated. You can Streamlab. You could do it through Streamlabs, or you can Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. All the above. But without support, I can't support the channel. That is not Brian in the video, Spring. It's not even remotely close. I don't know why anybody thinks that's him. The hairline is different. The head is different. Everything about that guy is different. Where Brian's parents stay? Probably in a hotel. I don't know. That's up to them, Edward. I mean, the police don't pay for it or anything. They pay for it. So whatever's cheaper for them. See, I thought of that too, Coffee. But I don't know. There's so many other people he could have killed. Maybe he didn't like their party life. Maybe he was jealous. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not even going to try to guess why he did it. He's just one sick mofo. And tarot 1s are new beginnings and 2s are choices. See, there you go. They have confirmed it's not BK. Thank you, Johnny. But I knew that already. Thank you, Mickey.
You a boss and I conclude that. Super chat, who was that? You didn't have to do that. You a big dog supporter and you prove that.
Thank you, Mickey. They came out with other footage of that guy, not him. Oh, I knew it wasn't him to begin with. I mean, you just have to take one look and you know it's not. We did a pretty in-depth comparison, though. I don't know. To me, it was pretty easy to tell it wasn't him. You get to, I have it all set up, though, so it's just clips. So it plays random different clips. Maybe it was part of his obsessions that he killed. I don't know. I just can't imagine throwing away your whole life to murder. That's nuts.
We got our first official introduction to Bryankohberger the day he was arrested on December 30th. But is it possible that we all saw him a month before that? That's the debate that's raging on.
He was arrested on a 3. Think about that. 13-13-3.
Online right now. And it's all because of this video that was shot November 30th, when the university, along with the parents of the victims, held a vigil for the kids who were killed. Multiple people have noted the similarities between this man in the blue coat and Bryankohberger. Is it possible that the person accused of those killings, of taking the lives of those 4 college students, actually attended the vigil with their friends and family? I want to bring in Robin Dreek. He is a retired FBI special agent and former head of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program. Robin, what are your thoughts about this? And I ask on so many levels, what you see in the video and what you think with your expertise.
Yeah, Ashley, thanks. It is interesting, and there are similarities. One thing I really took into account was what Brian was saying earlier. Actually, having seen the subject in court and looked in that video, he actually saw a difference in how he walks. So I'm always looking at that as well. The other thing I'm looking at too is if this is a potential subject and he's walking around, they're going to be able to look at a lot of other camera angles, most likely, follow him in other areas and see deviations from patterns of behavior. And we've talked about that before as well. And the other thing they're also going to be doing, triangulating and looking at where this guy's cell phone was at during this entire time period as well, to see if he actually was present or not.
So that's interesting. So if there's a cell phone ping in the actual location of the vigil, and I'm guessing as well, Robin, that the FBI, we know police were there. There were lots of them, and they've got really good gear. And they've got...
Guys, the hairline is different. The forehead is different. It's not him. I can't believe how many people can't grasp the hairline is totally different. It's not him.
Way better, machinery to treat imagery. So we're showing the best we can, but when the FBI gets a hold of an image, or when the FBI is actually there shooting, they're going to have a lot better than we can show, correct?
Yeah, no doubt. There's going to be a lot of image enhancement that's going on. And as we saw during the early parts of the investigation, we didn't know exactly what people had and law enforcement had, and we really didn't think they had much until all of a sudden, bam, we got them. And all of a sudden, all these other details came out. And this might be the same case here as well.
If it is him, will the prosecutors be able to use that? Like, will they be able to do something with that? If not just to tell the jury, you want aggravators and mitigators? Well, let's just look at this for one. And go ahead and see if you can mitigate.
Yeah, and I thought about that a lot as well. They're going to definitely utilize it to establish a timeline of his behaviors, both pre-murder, post-murder, what his intent was and what his thought processes were. And they're going to be able to overlay that with other subjects and murderers that have done these crimes in the past as well. So they'll use it. I don't think it's going to be the smoking gun that locks the case in for him, though.
Okay. I want to do something here. I want to read an online post to you, and I want to get your thoughts on this. First, the background of it, because this is important. So this is allegedly something that was written by Bryankohberger as a teenager. One of the podcasters we work with regularly, Lauren Matthias, who's also a reporter, she was able to actually link an old email address to an account at the site Tapatalk. We're not able to independently, confirm this, but there is this incredible series of posts, and they start in 2009 when he would have been about 14 years old, and they go until about 2017 when he's about 17. And this post comes in 2011 when he would have been 16. And if it's him, let me read this. Mentally, I experience fog, lack of comprehension at some times, depression, no interest in activity, constant thought of suicide, crazy thoughts, delusions of grandeur, anxiety, poor self-image, poor social skills, no emotion. I feel like nothing has a point to it. Again, this is him on a site where he's trying to get other people to sort of help him diagnose what might be wrong with him. And then if it's him again, he says, when I get home, I am mean to my family. This started when VS did, and that means visual snow. This is the condition he feels he has a tricky time seeing things without sort of a snowy, a snowy outlook. I felt no emotion, and along with the depersonalization, I can say and do whatever I want with little remorse. Everyone hates me pretty much. I am an a-hole. And he actually writes the word, not the letter. So what are your thoughts if this actually turns out to be him? And again, this links to, according to the podcaster, an old email address of his. What do you make of what you hear there?
A lot of pain. It's all the classic signs we see when we're looking at murders. We're looking at the unhealthy behaviors and malformations and chemical imbalances going on in the brain.
All right, for those of you that are lost, Lauren, whatever her name is, she had got an old email of his or something and traced this back to him through the old email. So nobody's been able to confirm 100% if that is him. But that's how it was found, and she's pretty credible.
And just listening to this posting, if it is him or anyone that you hear someone saying these things, this is an individual that needs immediate medical help and treatment because they're going down a very, very dark path. The things that really strike out to me is references suicide, cruelty, dispassionate feelings towards others, and also victimization and wound collecting.
It's fascinating. Robin Dree, thank you so much for your analysis and your thoughts. I appreciate it. Have you back for sure. And after the break, I'm going to share a couple of other thoughts, a few more of those posts written by the man that police say planned and stalked and butchered those 4 innocent kids. What were his thoughts and feelings in the middle of the night, the same time that the actual murders were carried out? If it's really him, they're dark and disturbing, and they're straight ahead.
It is dark and disturbing. However, we cannot forget that he was 16 and allegedly he was on heroin. So when someone's on heroin, they have all those feelings too, and they're not about to kill anyone. So people can't forget that is around the same time that girl said he was on heroin. A drug addict would have those exact same emotions and would have that exact same depression. So I wouldn't use that as an end-all be-all, because again, a heroin addict would have all those same feelings. Because why would he wait so long to kill them? Why would he wait until he was 28? The heroin changes all aspects. I agree. It really does. That's true. He became the thesis he inquired about. Yeah, I've seen that. I don't think that was him. But I know what I played that when it first came out. But I mean, I'm not saying I know for sure that it's not him, but I don't think it was him. I don't remember it looking like him in the reflection. Maybe I wait out. No, I don't think he killed before Dana. I really don't. I really believe this is his first kill. It's too sloppy. Thank you, Linda. The guy did another video after B was arrested. Thank you. I had yeah, a lot of these rumors need to stop. Not from you guys. I'm saying all over the internet. You know, this was him and that was him and this was him and that was him. No, Johnny, they already proved it wasn't. The guy did another video after Brian was arrested. It's already been debunked. I thought T-Rev was going on Banfield tonight. I heard somebody say good luck tonight. I thought he was going on. If you wait a few, Betty and him will bring a Dusty, Linda, or a Ghost into the mix. They already did that. We all have Linda. And the grand sympathy is really mad if you attend to the vigil. Well, it just, well, kind of. I mean, it's kind of gross if he did. But I just can't believe how many people think that was him when it's so obvious not. I mean, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but it's just so obviously not him. I mean, it took me a half a second to look like him. He was supposed the past week, but other people have been pulled up. I could have sworn he said today it was going on. But I only listened to like a few minutes. Yeah, but Lala, we don't know that. We don't know if it was him. Oh, Banfield's over. $41. Thank you, Whistle Down. That's what I need. Someone with direct thingies. All right, hold on.
It is the #1 question in the Idaho murders. If Bryankohberger did it, why did he do it? Why would anyone do such a monstrous thing? But if some disturbing writings that have been found online and then linked to an old email account of Bryankohberger, if they are in fact his, it just might provide some insight. Podcaster Lauren Matthias discovered these posts on a site called Tapatalk back when Brian was a teenager, and they do seem to indicate that he may have been suffering from a condition called virtual snow syndrome and reaching out to others with the same illness. The News Nation has not been able to independently verify the posts, but this one from July 4th, 2011, that's when he'd be 16. It reads, I remember when I was 15, I would wander alone at 2 a.m. Everything was so generic. Nowhere felt like home. I saw things that were not there, a different reality. I felt eerie and alone. I died during those nights. I felt like a criminal, but where was my record? He continues in another post to say, I try to sleep, I try to clear my head, but the pressure won't go away. The pain and depression won't leave. Being me is this horrible disease I was given. I think of this as I succumb to sleep, but I see a large intensity of black, yellow, white, makes my mind fizzle, and I can barely keep in the bounds of reality. It is as if the ringing in my ears and the fuzz in my vision is simply all of the demons in my head mocking me. Tomorrow on the program, I'm going to do a much deeper dive into these posts because there are a lot of them. Posts believed to have been.
Come on, Banfield, be honest. You're going to do it because you have no other content. All right, hold on. All right, Ickmel. Okay, so fake. I did a joke as my cover. I noticed Dolly, his title is Shocking News. What was the motive of Brian? Dude, there is no shocking news. Stop with the fucking clickbaits. Nothing new is out. Nothing. Not a thing. All right. Timestamp whistle down was 41:24.
Okay.
41. All right, we'll start there.
After the murders. One of the most powerful moments of tonight's vigil was when, look, the same man.
Oh, no, that's not him! Oh my God.
Thank
you. Lord, oh Lord.
Behind me as I was reporting that night. There he is again. We can definitely say the.
Oh my God. Thank you, Jessica, for that.
So for those of you looking for a debunk, there you go. There's your debunk. You didn't want to take my word for it. There's your proof. It is not him. It never was him. So don't ever doubt me again. There you go. Despite my haters, I really do know what I'm talking about. I promise you, I know what I'm talking about. I may not get everything right, but I get way more right than I get credit for. Yeah, definitely not Brian. Never was Brian. So now we can put that one to bed. Thank you, Ickmel. Because Mel thought it was him. He really did. It is laughable. But I thought it was laughable from the beginning. No, I know which one you're talking about, Sweet Carolyn. But that guy made a video. What's the name of the channel? Do you remember? But T-Rev is saying the caller wasn't him. Her husband is Brian. Whose husband? You don't know the guy's name? Because they said that he made a video afterwards. I don't know how anybody thought it was him to begin with. I mean, the whole everything is totally different. Right, Crystal? Exactly. Yeah, T-Rev said I've seen him say multiple times he didn't think it was him. I'm not taking any more cases on until I understand Photoshop. No, but T-Rev never said it was him either. He may have said it wasn't him, but he never said it was him. Other people said it was him. No, it's definitely not. Did say for sure that it's not been debunked. So he wants to keep it hanging. I don't know. I don't think it's Brian. That's my personal feeling. I just don't. Can I say for sure, like I can say this guy wasn't Brian for sure? No, I can't say for sure. But the little bit that we heard of Brian, his voice was different than someone that was on that call. I mean, we didn't hear a lot of Brian. We only heard a few words. But I personally don't think it's him. Napoleon Dynamite is the name of that account? The other account, Whistledown? Yeah, referring to the call-in, I can't say for sure it wasn't, but we did hear a couple of seconds of Brian's voice, and the voice was different. Who's a third Brian? But I also don't understand why everyone cares if it's him or not. Okay, if he called in, and I just don't get it. Of course Dolly said that, Stoned. I'll tell you one show he didn't call into, mine. He hates me. Nobody ever calls into my show. Welcome, Mike Droppin' Mom. I like that name. All right, hold on. Let's try to watch this. I don't know if it's going to complete, but we can give it a shot.
Under a dark Idaho sky.
Oh. All right, we're going to try. I'm going to stop it a lot, so it falls under fair use. That's true, Anne-Marie.
Well, today, Kohberger made his first.
They have it blacked out. You can't watch it. They got it blacked out. Blacked out means you can't watch it. You can listen to it, but you can't watch it. So the only way around that, I'm going to show you the only way around it. Where is... Yeah, 48 hours. There's only one way around it. Let me ask a question too before I do this. Can everybody watch CBS or you can't get it? You did watch it on YouTube. All right, let me check. Truth Seeker, I gotta make money somehow. All right. So it's not imperative that I play it because everyone can watch it. Because sometimes you guys can't watch stuff unless you, like News Nation, a lot of people can't watch because they don't have cable. Yeah, but Stone, a lot of people, I don't have cable. That's why I play News Nation, because a lot of people can't watch it. Because they can't get it. It's also on Fox News. Okay. As long as I know everyone can get it, I don't feel so bad. Hold on.
Order from the United States. That is true, sir, is it not?
Well, that's a lot there.
Mexico's drug cartels are now making fentanyl. No, Truth Seeker, I understand, but I've told people if I got to support the channel somehow. Was the 48 hours good? Is it worth watching? I agree, Unsolved. I'm not surprised by that, Janice. Yeah, I'm not either, Ann. That's crazy, though. All right, let me, hold on. To Whistle Dan, anything's better than her. I can't watch her videos. She annoys the shit out of me.
If you want to be healthier, you've
I think a lot of us are relieved. My granddaughter actually is a student at the University of Idaho. So she has been doing online classes since this has occurred. She'll be back next week. And it's because we do have a suspect in custody now. Something of this caliber is pretty hard to wrap your head around because you hear it and you don't expect it in a community or a college town this small. It was just shocking, and I think it left a lot of us in that state for quite a while.
Either we work as an RA or research assistant or TA, teaching assistant, but having somebody like that who is a TA, I mean, like being a TA myself, if I were like his students or something, it's gonna be like so shocking, and maybe at some point I'll just think that maybe I was a target, of some sort, or because like you never know, right? I mean.
Everyone's in a state right now, locking their doors, being safe at night, being extra cautious. It's an unfortunate situation, to happen, especially in students, same my age, same our age, across the street in campus. We just got to be more aware, you know what I mean? Lock your doors, be aware of your surroundings. So now the only thing we can do is prevent future things from happening, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been pretty heavy. I think I was reading the affidavit today, and
All right, no offense, but this is boring me. All right, I want to show you guys something, though. Hold on. Hang on a second.
Dr. Bensong risked everything when he used the...
No, I don't want to show you Quantum Leap. All right. I can't remember where it was. All right, bear with me. Thought it was Peacock, but I guess it's Hulu. Let me use my phone, it's easier.
How much of this did you eat?
I didn't eat any of it.
Oh my god.
Damn, I wish I could remember where it was. I remember where I was watching it. All right. It is Hulu. So people think, like, maybe this is new, this is rare. Check this out. I was watching this show the other day. I was telling you guys about it. UCLA had a random murder. University of Florida, murder. Charlottesville, murder. This is all college campuses. Baruch College, not sure where that is, murdered. South Carolina University, murder. Western Kentucky University, murdered. It's on Hulu. It's called Death in the Dorms. It's not, I mean, their timing sucks, but it's not that.
Is this gluten free?
No. Did you bring home eggs?
Yes. They're in the car.
It's all about murders that took place on college campuses. Yeah, you can chat. Of course you can chat. How many of them are quadruple murders? Well, the first one, I only watched the first one. It's actually really sad because the first one, it was so random. Some guys were drunk and just decided that this girl's standing on a balcony smoking. Let's just murder her. They stabbed her 19 times. 19 times. It was so random and so pointless. But guess what? Her neighbor heard some stuff and she called 911 immediately. It's called Death in the Dorms. It's a 6-episode ABC News-produced docuseries. Examines different cases of college students who were murdered either on or near their campus. We imagine that a series like this may scare the crap out of you.
It really is a perfect college town.
You trust that the environment your child is going to be in is going to be great, and you don't expect that community to also be the ones to bring them harm.
What should have been a great 4 years became tragedy.
I get a phone call.
I receive a phone call.
I just kind of froze. Is this true? What's going on?
This can't be happening.
They said, if you're a praying person, now is the time to pray.
Police are investigating the death of a freshman.
The victim had been stabbed 19 times.
We were screaming and screaming her name over and over again.
Thinking about the fear she must have gone through.
I have never seen that much blood in any crime scene that I've ever been on in my 26 years.
Students woke up seeing blue lights. They heard sirens. They were texting each other.
We were feeling unsafe.
They were scared that somebody was still out there.
It was a haunting moment for the campus.
In the back of my mind was thinking, this is a dream, a nightmare.
It was a pain that is unbearable.
Still didn't feel real. Police really needed to get to the bottom of this.
It was one of those aha moments.
It was explosive.
What kind of animal does this? And then shows no remorse.
This was pure torture.
It's scary to think that someone so malicious exists.
Like a horror movie, you know, like come to life.
She was one of us.
She was everyone's best friend.
I miss her laugh.
She truly was fearless. We had major dreams of art.
I was just really scared.
Could have been any of us.
While it's wonderful to think that you can leave your doors unlocked, don't.
Death in the Dorms, only on Hulu.
Crazy, right? I only got through the first episode, then I turned it off for no other reason. I just turned it off. But weird timing to bring it out on January 5th. I was like, they didn't like record it all of a sudden, but it's kind of weird that they dropped it right after a quadruple homicide right off college campus. But I mean, obviously they've been working on it for a while, but it's still kind of weird. But as far as the first episode, yeah, the guy got caught because the girl, her downstairs neighbor, heard the dog bark and heard something that didn't sound right. So she called 911. She happened to be looking out the window and saw a guy run out. And he got caught because his roommate had stolen speakers or something, and then they went to sell them online. And because they went to sell them online, that's how the cops traced it. But they had no idea who he was. It was turned out he didn't know them either. It was just a random act. It is strange timing. But this guy had no ties to them, did not know her. They were wasted and happened to see her on her balcony and decided, hey, let's go in and kill her. Oh, it does, Glory. It really does. Petrified. Because you just never know. You truly just never know. And kids, like we all did, think they're invincible and that nothing is ever going to happen to them. Especially my daughter. And it's scary. It's really scary. Heater box reboxing? Huh? So that's pretty much all I have for you guys. I thought we were going to watch 48 Hours, but we can't. I don't think some rando will come out and stab us to death. That's true, too. or you don't think you're going to get into a car accident, or you don't think that, you know, there's so many what ifs. When kids are little, you can protect them. You can watch them. When they become young adults, you just can't. It's scary. It was way different. Really, there isn't a link to these kids in BK. We don't know. I don't leave my door open at night, but I do leave it open during the day. Not open, but unlocked. Shut up! Oh my God, shut up. True. Anyone want a dog? I think he's quiet now. I think. No, he's barking at Buka to get off the bed. And now Buka's gonna come over to me. This is like so standard. Here comes Buka. These are uncertain times we live in. True. Kaz, I know, but they're still teens who think they're invincible. You do. Just stop the messy. Just go to News Nation. No, I wouldn't give him up. I was only kidding. K9, I was going to say, this really reminds me of like Chris Watts stuff. When it was like video after video after video, but you didn't learn anything. It's kind of what it reminds me of. Well, that's like when Dayton stubbed his toe. I thought he was being murdered. I really, like, my heart went in my throat. I thought something happened. I, like, ran in there. Are you okay? It's scary. So you just have to rewind this video, stop the messy. No one deserves the benefit of the doubt? What the hell does that mean? Of course they do. Garden grower, you didn't see right under it. It says kidding. And then you have to read the description. I guess you can't see the kidding on a cell phone. But yeah, I wrote kidding right under it. And then wrote in my description. Liz, that is, you never know. And I agree with Brian about that. And I was going to say Nancy Grace, but Ashley was talking about that you never know what's going to happen. It could be nothing. It could be something. Yeah, there are no. I was said in like the description that I don't know why everybody puts shocking details. They're talking about stuff that's like 5 days old or 3 weeks old or stuff that we know already. It's clickbait titles. It's annoying. One more thing I want to check, and then I'm getting off. I am freezing. For Lori Vallow fans, Lori Vallow filed alibis for murders of her children. Wow, North Carolina man reportedly dealt with mental illness before killing his wife, his 3 kids, and then himself on Saturday. Robert J. Creighton Jr., 45, fatally shot his 46-year-old wife, his 18-year-old son, and 2 others. What? A Florida man, I'll show you. Doug live, Brian and putting makeup on. We had a good laugh before. Oh, I don't doubt that. No, I haven't, Glory.
Mom, what time was Dan born?
What?
What time was Dayton born?
8 in the morning. 7:30.
Dan, I was literally so
You were all born early.
Dan, I'm so close. You were born at like 8 a.m. I was off by 2 hours.
A married Florida man and his girlfriend. Now, keep that in mind. A married Florida man and his girlfriend were arrested on Wednesday for allegedly molesting a 2-year-old in their care. Volusia County Police said the abuse was uncovered after Jason Zeke's spouse learned he was having an affair. Zeke's spouse reportedly obtained hundreds of messages that revealed the abuse, which occurred in October. Police said the text messages also mentioned plans to keep abusing the toddler. The toddler's relationship with the suspects was not disclosed. Zeke, 25, and Sharon are charged with lewd and molestation, lewd exhibition, and child abuse. Zeke remains jailed on a $150,000 bond, and Sharon was bailed out on Thursday. Wow. Wow, this is a big one. Check this out. You want to talk about raising bad kids? Look at this.
Developing tonight, I'll tell you, this is just, it's tough news to report. A 12-year-old Oklahoma girl is in custody right now, accused of killing her 9-year-old brother. It happened overnight in South Tulsa. Officers say their parents were asleep. The little girl woke her mom up and told her she had stabbed her brother. The mom called 911, first responders rushing to the scene, the little boy taken to the hospital, but he did not make it.
This, unfortunately, has no easy end or easy path. This is going to be a long, convoluted process that's going to be extremely taxing on everybody involved in this. So there's nothing easy about this.
You cannot imagine what that family is feeling. The girl was taken into custody, being held at the Family Center for Juvenile Justice. The Tulsa Police Child Crisis Unit is handling this investigation. And this also just in tonight, the Tulsa Police Chief saying, quote, all homicides are tragic, but the second homicide of 2023 in Tulsa shows a definitive societal problem. The question is, how does society address a child killing another child?
That's wild. Can you imagine? Mom, I just killed my little brother. Wow. It is awful. I'm actually a little surprised they arrested her. Like, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, 12-year-olds have been tried as adults, though. I have seen 12-year-olds tried as an adult. I can't imagine either. That's wild, though. I wonder if there's any more on that. Hold on. That's what I'm saying. I've seen 12-year-olds tried as an adult. It says, obviously we did some interviews, but interviews with a 12-year-old are very preliminary. This, unfortunately, has no easy end or easy path. It's going to be a long, convoluted process. Let's see. It doesn't give names. I agree, Unsolved. Hey, Nan. Nan, you always come in at the end. Oh, it happened on the 7th. No, one says 32 minutes ago.
A quiet but somber morning at the Riverbank Plaza Apartments. Just before midnight Thursday, Tulsa police say a 12-year-old girl fatally stabbed her 9-year-old brother.
I cannot believe that. That's absolutely insane.
Neighbors like Marty Parsons are in shock, and so are police, trying to piece it together with their child crisis unit.
This is such an extreme point of...
Oh, no, she can get a life sentence. She can't get a death sentence, but she can most certainly get a life sentence.
Of atypical behavior that we see. You know, last year we had nearly 70 homicides. Not a single one of them was perpetrated by a 12-year-old.
Fire and EMSA crews tried to revive the boy with CPR, but officers say he died in the hospital about 2 hours later. Police say officers learned the children's parent was asleep upstairs when the sister woke the parent up to tell the parent she stabbed her younger brother. The 12-year-old suspect is currently in custody at the Family Center for Juvenile Justice, where the juvenile court system decides how long she'll stay there.
Sometimes juveniles are what's called a youthful offender, where they've committed a heinous crime, and even if they're under 18, they still get charged as an adult. In this case, the suspect is so young that that's not going to happen.
A motive hasn't been released. It's got Parsons contemplating her own future.
I don't know if I even want to stay now, because I mean, that's crazy.
While the family remains on everyone's mind.
In a general sense, they're...
See, the cop just said it right there. And let me tell you why I think it's like this. Because she's a girl and it's a baby. And it's a little brother. Because if she would have murdered her stepfather or her father or her mother, they wouldn't say, well, she definitely won't be tried as an adult. Because then every kid who wants to kill can do it before age 12. No, they'll be out on the streets by 19. But because it's a baby, they don't care. And I don't mean they don't care. It's across the world. Yeah, you can't do capital punishment. But I've seen people do life. But he just said that she won't be tried as an adult. She'll be out on the streets by 19. And I'm sure she'll do it again. Just saying. So if you're going to kill someone, do it before age 12 and that's it? I don't know. I personally, on a personal note, I really don't think there's much difference between age 12 and age 14. Is a big difference between like 15 and 17. But mentally speaking, 12, 13, 14, pretty much the same. Yeah, but juvenile court, you're out by 18 or 19. Yeah, he said she won't be tried as an adult because she's only 12. School, that's not true, Lala. Schools don't give a shit if child is on meds or not. Hey, Busty Can. Schools don't get paid. They don't give a shit. Doctors get paid. Schools have no part in it. Oh, no, Rosemary. That's not good. 21. Okay. No, Samantha. All right, I'm checking. I meant to check it before and I forgot. Hold on. Nope, I don't think that's Brian at all. Again, the hairline is totally different. Jasko, that was his name. Hold on. Hold on, I'm looking at something. Hang on, I'm going through someone's video, but she's a striker. I don't know. It's hard to tell if it's him or not. I mean, it's a reflection, so it's too hard to tell. And nobody gives the name of his YouTube account. I mean, it could be. I don't know. It's too hard to tell. So my conclusion is, who the hell knows? So that's my conclusion. I have no idea. Oh, it's another creator that will strike you for using any of her material. So, all right, I'm going to get off though. But I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful night. I am going to do I'm going to start doing member-only streams again. I know I've been slacking big time, but I am going to start doing them again. I was going to do one tonight for 48 hours, so good thing I didn't. So, thank you all for coming. I will see you all tomorrow. And don't get caught up in the BS. Again, make sure on your way out you hit that thumbs up, you like and subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow.